Well, good afternoon and Happy New Year. You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEG Click your Livestream tab or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. WCEG Network. I'm Celeste Giordano, your show host for the next hour. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Subscribe to our free YouTube channel at WCEG Network. Like, follow, and connect with us on Facebook, it should be X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We also have some new platforms that you can download on your free mobile apps with WCEG Talk Radio with the Apple iPhone. And last but not least, our disclaimer, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not the network. Thank you for your continued support and Happy New Year, Bill and Deborah. How are you today?
Well, I'm well. Happy New Year, ladies. Happy New
Yeah,
Year, WCEG. And it's just an absolute pleasure to be on with you in this glorious month of January. Start the year off right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
absolutely. And Deborah, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show with us today. I know both of you have been on the show a couple of times with us, and we are just really grateful and honored to have you here today. And we're especially appreciative of WCEG Network, Penny Rogers, and our board for giving us this opportunity, this platform to speak life into the community. And the things that we have planned for the day are going to be phenomenal. So I hope each and every one of you had a good holiday and a good new year. And Deborah, I just want you to know on behalf of WCEG Network, Women of Community Impact, and myself and your friends and family, that you are in our prayers and thoughts during this holiday season. We know that you lost your husband to pancreatic cancer, and our prayers and thoughts have been with you during this time.
Thank you very much. And I have definitely felt that from all those communities that you mentioned, Celeste, and very grateful. I tell people all the time when I open my phone in the morning and there's a message there, whether it's about the weather or what your kid's doing today, or just saying, I'm thinking of you, it's very meaningful.
Absolutely. And also, learned here tonight, Bill, that you had lost your father-in-law to pancreatic cancer. And it's a hard subject to talk about when those are near and dear to you. So our hearts and prayers are out to you and your family. All right. I'm pretty excited about our talk here today. So what I would like to do, I want to get started because I know that once we get the dialogue going, because this is going to be a dialogue where we're going to join in together and talk about the importance of first impressions. And so what I would love to do, and we're going to start with you, Deborah, is I would love to have you introduce yourself. I'm not going to introduce you, but I want you to introduce yourself and tell our audience about you, about DD Faces, anything new that's been going on in your life and your company, and how people can connect with you. So if you would you tell our listeners and audience a little bit about you, please?
Absolutely. Personal styling, color analysis, and makeup artistry are just some of the services that are offered through my company, DD Faces. I work with business women and a few lucky men to elevate their physical presence so that they make a memorable impression that lasts in a positive way. It's a very crowded, busy marketplace, especially now that we're on a platform like this. So yes, we can reach people all across the country and the world, but so does our competition. So in my opinion, it's more important than ever to stand out, whether you are online or when you walk through the door in person. And so I work with people to build that professional level of confidence, take the angst out of getting ready to go somewhere to an event. What do I wear? What are people expecting? All of those things. And when your confidence soars, you will see your bank account do the same thing.
Absolutely. And I'm definitely looking forward to us having our conversation about don't leave your first impression up to chance and what you have to say about that. But Bill, what I would love is for you to share a little bit about you and your company. And you also host a networking organization. And I've had the privilege and honor to be one of your guest speakers. I believe it was before COVID. And so I'm excited that that's coming back. So would you tell us a little bit about you and your company and about your networking group, please?
Okay. Well, I am Bill Courtright. Thank you, Celeste, for having me. I am a husband, a father of two, and a marketer by trade. Business development, sales, and marketing has been my career for over 3 decades now. So the company that I work for is Reputation Sensei by Digital Media Nation. We're headquartered right here in Alpharetta, and we serve healthcare and the automotive industry all over North America. I also have a networking group that you mentioned. It's called Spire, SPIRE, and spire-atl.com is our website. We're a group of heart-centered Atlanta-based professionals that gather throughout the year because we believe that a gathering or a forum should exist for the best that Atlanta has to offer to get together and share ideas and give and receive support and glean best practices and learn and grow and ultimately serve our community and the causes that we as a group hold dear. So Spire is a pretty special group. It's been around since 2019, actually 2018. We've been meeting formally since 2019, and we're about 350 strong, and we have a gathering just so happens this Thursday. Doors will open at 5:30 at the AC Marriott right there. It's the AC Marriott Atlanta Perimeter North, which is right there off 285, and we'll be meeting on the rooftop, which is Bar Perry. And we'll be there from about 5:30 till 8:30 this Thursday. Come one, come all, be around some great people and start the year off right.
Absolutely, Bill. And one thing that I love about Spire and I love about you is the quality of the people that you bring together and the energy that everybody has and truly caring about one another. So I just, my hat's off to you and excited and hopefully that I will get to be there this Thursday. And today we're going to talk about make your first impression last and networking tips from those in the know. And you're definitely in the know. So with that, we're going to get started. And again, I just appreciate any comments that either one of you have. I'm going to direct a question to you, but then, I want you to all, both of you to chime in on this. And I'm going to start my first question with you, Deborah. And the first question is, do not leave your first impression up to chance. What does that exactly mean? That was your title for today. So what does that exactly mean?
It means that you really need to be intentional about where you show up and how you show up. And I'm just not talking about if you have on designer shoes or a fancy watch, but being intentional about picking the crowd. Who is the crowd? Who is your audience? Any business coach or book will talk to you about what is your why and who are your people and what's your target audience, all of that. And that definitely applies to networking. I know this because when I first retired from my brick and mortar job and had the opportunity to network more and during the day, my husband made a joke like, what do you do? Just drive around 285 and get off at every exit and go to lunch? Because I was just gone all the time. And what did that produce for me? A desk full of business cards back in the day when we all used that a few years ago that were very cold over time because I didn't follow up. So I know that Bill can talk to that. Just be really intentional about where you go and what is your purpose for going there.
Yeah, well, certainly.
Bill, go ahead, Bill. I'd love for you to chime in and then I'll chime in.
Well, I will start by saying Deborah and I are quite congruent when it comes to who we associate with and how we show up. Not to be constantly preaching about SPIRE, but I think it's applicable here. SPIRE is actually an acronym, and it stands for S, service, P, proximity, I, intention, R, reciprocity, and E, excellence. And the idea that we are who we are based on the people that we draw from and give to. It is a be a river, right? John Maxwell says, be a river, don't be a reservoir. Allow these blessings to flow through us into others and right back to us, and then go out and give to the world and watch what the world gives back to you. So the idea that, yes, you have to be intentional, you have to show up with a heart to serve. There has to be an interest greater so in others than in yourself, right? And when you're around great people, in my opinion, that's easy, right? I think Dale Carnegie said, you'll be a lot more successful making friends in 2 months becoming genuinely interested in others than you will in 2 years trying to get people interested in you. So my first impression has always been show up as tall as this 5'7" kid can stand up, and put a smile on your face, make genuine eye contact, lean forward, know where your hands need to be, whether it's a servant's posture or an open posture, understand mirroring, cornering, how to establish deep rapport right away. There's a lot of things that we could go on and on and on about. But as it pertains to the association that Deborah referred to, just like we were taught as teenagers, hey, if you're in the wrong car at the wrong time, it doesn't matter if you weren't participating, you're going to jail too, right? That's what mom and dad said. Well, that's true. And just like you can be guilty by association, we can be successful by association too. So just that old axiom that, you're the sum of the 5 people that you associate with most. If you got 4 broke friends, you'll be a 5th. You want to be around the best people to glean the best practices. That's all true. But as Deborah and Celeste, I know, great people, legacy-minded people, successful people, they're busy. And although they're busy, they with that legacy mindset comes an additional level to the heart to serve. And I think we as individuals, whether you're 18 or 80, you can be of value in any relationship when you come with an open mind and an open heart, genuinely looking to support. And that can be a smile, that can be a kind word, that could be genuine interest in someone that has a hard time finding someone to listen to them. So, I think regardless of where we are in stature throughout our professional journey, the way we build that network and the way we build that circle, that group of 5 that we can raise up to their level, and then with an obligation to bring others up with us, right? So I think to do that, all we need be is genuinely, authentically ourselves. Everyone else is taken. Be respectful of oneself, show up with our best foot forward, have some credibility, some certainty, and some confidence, because you can't give what you don't have. I'm sure Debbie has heard that. But in that, with that open mind, heart to serve, and genuine respect for the accomplishments of others, I have found that people will let me partake in conversation. And it's at that moment that we get a chance to be heard, and we can talk about how we can make best use of that opportunity shortly.
Absolutely, Bill. And I appreciate those comments. And I mean, don't leave your first impression up to chance. That first impression isn't just 1 or 2 things. It's a magnitude of things. Whether you're walking into a networking group, whether you're walking into meet a corporation, meet an individual. It goes from the way that you dress, the way you present yourself. Bill, you talked about your posture, your hands, positioning. I'm a graduate of How to Win Friends and Influence People course. And you know what? You nailed it right there. When you go to a networking group or when you're talking to somebody, it's not about you. And so many times we go to these events and everybody wants to they get so nervous, I think, that they want to talk about themselves. And it isn't about that. It's about being genuinely interested in that other individual. And I take a lot of pride that a lot of people say to me, Celeste, every time I meet you at a networking event, all you want to do is ask about me and have me tell about myself. And that's one of the key things that Dale Carnegie talks about. The more somebody talks about themselves, the more they are going to be interested in you. And they're going to say, you know what? All I've done is talk about myself. Why don't you tell me about you? Is that not a better thing for them to say, why don't you tell me about you instead of you telling them about you?
Absolutely. And there is so much research at the university level, usually in the Department of Psychology, the School of Psychology, about first impressions. And, that whole adage about 7 seconds to impress, that really is true factual information being measured from all kinds of physiological responses that we have to images. Okay, so it could be your body temperature, eye blinking, heart rate, respiration, all those things. Those are measured scientifically after people are shown all kinds of different images. And it just keeps coming back to from 1/10 of a second to 15 seconds, with 7 seconds right in the middle, right in the mean of all that. 7 seconds is pretty short. So you better use it well.
Absolutely. And Deborah, I know I've had my color analysis done by you. I've had it done by the first time I had it done was by my friend Dominique up in Canada. And the other thing, and Bill, you can attest to this, I'm sure, with like a male perspective, is know your colors and dress in those colors. I found out that navy is a really good color on me. And so is red. Those are powerful colors. And when you walk in a room, people look and say, that's a powerful person right there. And so that's huge. And with men, I think, what is it? Navy suits during the day and maybe black at night or gray or something. I don't know, Deborah, you can tell that. But what is your perspective, Bill, on a male's perspective about your image and the colors of the clothes that you wear? Do you think about it?
I do, and I'm anxious to hear Deborah's perspective from a professional standpoint. But my perspective has always been what puts a smile on my face when I leave the house is very important, because it's like Deion Sanders said, you look good, you play good, right? And it's when you you look good, when you feel good, and when you feel good, you can't hide it. So it's important, and the vice versa is true. When you're feeling disheveled or not put together, or you're having an off day for whatever reason, and you run into somebody, there's that little bit of anxiety of, oh darn, right? So now, throughout my life, I've been told by women I appreciate, starting with mom, what looked good on me, right? And how to keep myself groomed, and how to be a gentleman, and how to open doors, and all the things that served me well, I promise you. Started with mom, and an interest in making sure that we boys, the three of us in our family, the three boys, represented the family in a certain way, and that came down to the clothes we wore. We were clean shaven, our hair was coiffed. We just represented ourselves in a certain way, and it's probably a pretty conservative, old school way that my boys don't want to hear about. But I could promise you that when mom said, "You look good in blue," to this day, I think I do. And if I think I look good in blue and I'm wearing blue, I feel good. And if I feel good, I show up in a way that Deborah would say is a little more magnetic. We start vibrating at a slightly different frequency, and that attracts a whole different dynamic of individuals. And we've all been in those rooms where there's just there's people give off an energy, they give off a vibe, and the energy can change when you enter or leave a room. And if you're feeling good in a perfectly pressed suit with a shirt and power tie, or a shirt open collar, and just the right amount of tan and a fresh fade, and you're looking great, well, you're going to come in and everybody in the room is going to be like, who's that? And it's not, I promise you, it's not the sport coat. It's
Right.
it's the way that the face lights up when you're dialed in. And that made sense to me. And I'm not kidding when I say Deion Sanders, because he was the first one who I could relate to, because I too used to lay my uniform out on my bed the night before and just stare at it the night before a game. And it was like, I couldn't wait to put that on, right? And whether it was baseball, football, didn't matter. There was something about looking good. And Deion Sanders, when asked, why is it so important that you look good? And he's like, man, look good, play good. And that's true. And I think that's true. And I think that's true in sports. I think it's true in life. I think it's true in dating, relationships, and it's certainly true in business. So for me, I don't know if blue is a better color on me than green, yellow, or red. But I know that because mom told me when I was 17 years old that I was especially handsome in blue, and that was my color, and I should wear it well and proud. I have ever since. And my wife likes me in blue. So thanks, Mom. But yeah, it's all about how I feel as a result of wearing those colors. Not exactly sure if that's the right thing to say, but it works for me.
I want to just comment on something you said about a highly pressed shirt. So, gentlemen, I know it's expensive to take your dress shirts or even nice sports shirts to the dry cleaners, but unless your mom really taught you how to iron that thing, that is a deal breaker in a first impression, is looking wrinkled, because it's not about the wrinkles. What it says to the person is, this guy didn't put much level of effort into getting ready here today. He just threw it in the dryer on whatever permanent press, and here he is. And there's so much subconscious stuff that happens in our brain. That's a really intellectual word, stuff, right? There's so much activity at that level that happens that we're not even aware of. And you've come through the door and maybe you have, I don't know, a little hole in your sweater and your shirt collar is wrinkled. Yes, I'm going to be in my conscious brain like, but even an employer that you're interviewing with could be thinking, what level of effort is this future employee going to give me if they can't even step it up for this interview? Or the first time you show up at a professional networking group with people that don't know you. So, leave your dog walking clogs at home, people, and iron your clothes.
Absolutely.
I know it sounds really judgy, but it really is.
Right. We're in full rocket out mode here, Deborah. Okay. But the other thing is that for the gentleman as well as for the woman, is you have to dress the part. If you're working in corporate America and you're looking to get that promotion, you can't come into work every day as an entry level individual. If you're looking to be a manager or a senior manager or a director or senior director, you got to dress that part, because that's important of how people perceive you. And if you don't perceive yourself as a higher level individual, it's just like your attitude, people's attitudes is only going to be 50% what your attitude is. If the way that you dress and show up to work is a very casual atmosphere, then nobody's going to look at you as a promotion. That's my opinion.
Just for the job you want, right, Deborah?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, I know that's really cliche, but it's true. And since COVID, Casual Friday has just dropped to a whole new level. I see people coming out of corporate office buildings going to lunch on Friday in cargo shorts and flip-flops. I just don't get it. Just like I don't get slippers and pajama pants in the grocery store. Trust me, like I'm in a sweatshirt and a baseball hat in a grocery store, okay? And I do that little moment Bill talked about, like, oh, didn't expect to run into you. but we're real. We got to be able to be down sometimes. Okay. I'm just going to get some deli meat so I don't have to worry about my first impression. But even if it's Friday at work, you're still at work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we could carry on forever. We've already carried on a good time with that first question. So let's move on. Deborah, other people are going to think what they think. So what is it about others' first opinion of you do you think that we can control?
I think there's a lot. First of all, are you on time? And I say that whether your face is popping into the square on an online meeting or you're walking through the door. I tell people get there early and sit in a parking lot. You can look and see who's showing up, but be on time. And when we're late to something Bill talked about earlier, when you feel frazzled or just maybe not like yourself, wow, being late is rough. It's rough on how you feel about you, and it's just not good form. So as much as you can. I have actually arrived at a networking luncheon 15 minutes after I knew they sat down, and I didn't go in because I didn't want to be that person. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I'm sure some of you have another opinion, but be on time. Be early or be on time. And enter the room with a smile on your face. You can control that.
Yes, absolutely.
I have this whole thing. I tell people, don't get out of the car until you get off the phone. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, roll your shoulders back, stick your chest out, put your sorority smile on, and then open the door, because you don't know who's looking at you getting out of your car. You get out of your car, crabby, screaming on the phone at your teenager, fixing your lipstick, fixing your collar. People see that. Your first impression starts when the other guy sees you, not when you make eye contact with them. So you can control that.
Very good. Bill, any comments on that?
Again, my sister Deborah here, she has it dialed in, and from a behavioral psych perspective, like, I agree with everything you're saying. And I think what this boils down to is when we see someone who has a strong presence, what it says is they have an attention to detail, they're on time, they have a level of respect for themselves that at minimum passes muster. Like that's great. Like if those that care for themselves likely care for others. And I think what this all boils down to, the attention to detail. We talked about a pressed shirt. What about shine shoes? The details. It's do the leathers match? Does your watch band match your belt, match your shoes? If you're wearing solids, are they complementary colors? Are you mixing patterns? If in New York, maybe you can, but I know unless it's a pocket square, you not want to do that. So the idea, though, that you're attending to details and you're caring for yourself, what it says to the people that you're associating with is you're going to be okay with me. Because I think the biggest challenge that people face today, whether it's in relationships, networking, business, raising children, doesn't matter. It's safety. We all want to, the biggest fear we have in any interaction is, am I making a bad decision? Whether we're deciding to hire a staff member, whether we're deciding to go to do a business deal with someone, whether we're deciding who to date, who to marry, whomever, what we're really saying is this going to burn me? Am I making a good decision? And what we as people need to see, or at least like to see, is markers or indicators that you're going to be okay. This is a safe decision to make. This person has their poop in a group, so to speak, right? And if we're attending to our own details, we're likely going to care for your details as well. So you're not going to regret putting me in that position, putting me in that presentation, putting me in that boardroom. You're not going to regret sending me to that close or having me on that stage or representing this opportunity. I've got you. And you can say that and live that and create the aura of that in the first 30 seconds. 5 seconds. I'm a digital marketer. We live in a 3-second world. We literally have about a half a second to earn 2.5 more seconds, in which case I'll give you maybe 10 more. And if you get that right, we'll give you 30. That's kind of how it goes. That's how we stop the scroll. Well, when you're getting out of the car or entering a room or opening your mouth or shaking a hand or inviting someone into a conversation, that's your 3 second, that's your hook. And the safer you can make someone feel, the more open they are to receive whatever it is that you're putting out, whether it's a presentation and ask for an order, an invite to dinner, cocktail, coffee, whatever the case might be. You need to give yourself that playing field, if you will. And that playing field, in my opinion, is safety. How safe do you make the people feel you're interacting with? And the way, in my opinion, you can make them feel a little bit safer is to care for yourself or appear to care for yourself in a way that leads them to believe, well, he's going to care for me as well.
Absolutely. And, and I think in a group of people, you can tell right away who the servant leaders are. You can tell the servant heart leaders because they do make you feel safe. They are caring. They are loving. They are, where they care about you because they're asking questions about you. They're not in there and just say, hey, I'm Celeste Giordano. How are you? Great. Nice to meet you. I mean, nobody wants to associate and be in that circle right there.
Yeah.
So Bill, let me ask you something. Do you have a philosophy when it comes to personal introductions and networking?
You touched on it. I do. I most certainly do. And again, to steal a line from our friend John Maxwell, it's that servant leader. It's that heart to serve, that openness. Listen, I come from a family that was in the restaurant business. We have hospitality in our blood. Whether it's a holiday party or a backyard barbecue, I'm at my most comfortable and happy making sure everybody's glasses are full and plates are in front of them or gone if they're done. So this idea that you can actually become happy serving people is not new. But in the professional world, whether it be through an introduction or when you're networking in a group, having that heart to serve, that servant leader, that genuine interest in others. How can I support you? What are you working on? Using their name. If I'm introducing myself and I get someone's name and I meet Deborah, there is nothing so sweet to any one person than the sound of their own name said correctly by another. So the idea that we can listen to someone's name, use it in context, make eye contact, find a way to support them. You said it earlier, Celeste, ask short questions that require long answers and listen.
Yes.
Listen until they're done talking. Do not wait to talk. Do not interrupt. The first few things I will say when given an opportunity to speak is essentially a summary of what I heard. Oh, so what I'm hearing you say is, oh, that's fantastic. You're actually engaged in this. Oh, so how do you feel about your work you've been doing with that? Again, I'm the only thing I'm saying in that moment is give me more. And I want you so much to know that I heard every word that you said that I'm going to repeat it back to you with inflection and interest and anticipation. And my head's going to be positioned a certain way. My eyebrows are going to go a certain way. My hands are going to go a certain way. And I've got a little Italian in me, so I'm probably going to bob and weave a little bit. But you're going to mirror my energy. You're going to mirror my energy, and you're going to get up, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, why am I raising my voice? Well, he's raising his voice, and I haven't had anybody as interested in that story as ever. So now all of a sudden, I'm getting someone to, you talk about reciprocity, you talk about obligation, you talk about rapport. The rapport happens. Listen, I've said this many times in speeches and on stages and in networking groups. Impression is made when we speak, but connection is made when we listen.
Listen. Yes.
And it's nice to make an impression, but if you want to truly connect with every single person that you interact with the next networking event you partake, what you should be writing on the back of their business card is what they're working on, where they're challenged, who you can introduce them to remove resistance or lighten their load, grease their skids, If you can have a phone call or virtual coffee with someone that you met at a networking event within 24 to 48 hours, and the first thing out of your mouth is, I was given some thought to the challenge that you were facing with the hiring of your next executive admin. And I have a friend of mine that just went through this process. I think you two might want to know one another. And you make a friendly introduction to someone with nothing to gain at all other than, hey, this might help you on your journey. Again, the first impression is all about them. The first time you open your mouth is, I want more about you. And then the first time you engage with them within that 24, 48 hours is to lighten their load or grease their skids or remove their resistance. If you do those three things with every person and you don't need to meet 500 people in a fight, you can meet one person.
Right.
And you do that 3 times, and you do that 5 times, and you do that once a week, or in Deborah's case, 3 times a day. Well, God Almighty, pretty soon you are the servant leader. You are the heart to serve. More importantly, you're the one people need to know.
Absolutely.
Because you're the connector. You're the one and that's what you're remembered for. And I know there are people out there that don't have a clue what I do for a living, but they know when they need something who they can call.
Amen. Amen.
Love that.
That's true. Absolutely. And, I remember Expire right there, Bill, and you make everybody feel very welcome. I mean, you took me around, you introduced me to so many people. And even though I was the guest speaker, I already was special, but that made it extra special. And you remind me so much of, our friend Brigitte. Brigitte is a very powerful, powerful individual, and learned a lot with her. I've worked with her in the nonprofit arena as well. And Brigitte is a connector. You're a connector. I'm a connector. Deborah, you're a connector. And, we are unique when we go into a networking event or we go into a business or corporation. People know right away, that's a connector. That's the person you want to get to know.
Yeah.
Love
Deborah,
it.
any comment you want to say about that?
A little earlier, Bill made a comment about who the captivating, the dynamic people are in the room, and he listed some qualities of them. And I was just thinking, for those of us that consider yourself introverts, or those of you that don't want to hire someone like me to help you be that captivating, dynamic person, sit back in the room, pick out the person that really captures your attention, and then figure out, what is it about them? Is it what they're wearing? Is it their smile? Is it all those fabulous reflective listening skills that Bill just talked about? You can make a list of that, and then you can be in control of that. You can emulate that.
Absolutely. And, being a good listener, we always say, God gives you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you listen twice as much as you talk. And that is so true. And Dale Carnegie, I mean, I think it was like a 12, 14-week course. I mean, that was a transformation for me back in the 80s when I took that course. And I have emulated all the things that I learned in that Dale Carnegie course throughout my life, and growing my personal business, as well as growing my consulting business and our nonprofit business. And again, you learn that, and I recommend that people read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You learn it's not about you. When you can be comfortable and go somewhere to a networking event or go into a corporation or a business and know it's not about you, because it eventually, my challenge is that if you are a servant heart leader and you follow all those guidelines, that's like what Bill was talking about, and Deborah, you were talking about, you will be the most interesting person, and then it will be about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on here. What if you have a sense that your first impression on an individual or a group was not as favorable as you hoped? Is there anything you can do about that, Deborah?
I believe there is. You cannot take back your first impression, but you can reinvent it and recreate it. And as Bill talked about, if you have met someone and you do reach out to them in 24, 48 hours, now there's your second chance. So, you become the better listener. You ask the interesting questions. You do a little research about that person, their business card. So you can ask questions that make you sound more interested than perhaps you did the first time. Maybe you were late. Maybe you had an argument with somebody on the way to the event or the way to the Zoom, right? And you just felt your energy was a little off. Maybe your focus wasn't what you wanted it to be. If you make the next contact with that person almost immediately, you have a chance to kind of reshape and edit. Don't bring it up. Don't ever. Somebody once said to me, well, this is way back when I was starting this, but I was rather apologetic for something I was very aware that maybe I didn't do as well as I could do it. And I brought it up. I think it was the first time I ever did a professional speaking gig. And she said to me later, don't do that. Half the room doesn't know. Don't bring it to their attention. So all of that to say, when you do reach out to the person, you're just going to leave all that in the background of maybe you didn't feel like you were on your best. Most of us are a lot harder on judging ourselves and evaluating our performance than other people are. So just leave it alone, but reach out and do it better, whatever that means to you, whatever you felt like wasn't perfectly working for you last time. You have a chance for that. 6 months down the road, maybe not so much, but.
Well, and I'm sure Bill can attest to this and what you're saying, whether you're speaking at an event or whatever it is. People don't know what they don't know. They don't know your topic. They don't know your speech or your outline, your agenda. And whether you forget something or not, they don't know that. So there's no need to bring that back up because they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. And to Deborah's point, we are our own worst critic. And I don't know the exact statistic, but the significant percentage of our self-talk is negative. And I think we know when we weren't at our best. And I think, I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping a mental note of, I may not have showed up for that person. That may not have been my best effort. You don't have to acknowledge it to them, certainly, because we've all agreed, no one's the wiser, right? We know the differences, they don't. However, you can make a note, and when in doubt, just give. When in doubt, just serve. Give until they ask. Give and give and give and give and give again. And when I have a situation where I wasn't able to give as much of myself as perhaps I would have liked to, given an opportunity, I make a note of that. And then the next time, whether it's a conversation, email, text, or interaction that I'm going to have, they're going to get blessed with more attention, more resources, more interest, and a commitment, because I'm not going to rest until I can feel like, okay, I've satisfied that. The equity in this relationship is now tipping, depending on how you look at it, in their favor, which is in my favor, in my opinion. So that I can deal with that. Now I can move on and feel good about it. But if ever I feel like, that scale or equity within the relationship is going in a direction that I'm not totally content with, I'm not going to be able to really feel good about myself until I've remedied that. But they don't know that. But the next time they see me, I will over deliver in a way that they may not forget the first impression, but they're going to be like, dang, this guy he's somebody to reckon with. He's someone we should know. Thank you. There's going to be gratitude. And when I get gratitude, then I'm good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the suggestion that you made, Bill, because I do this all the time and I teach it to my clients. When you're out there networking, and it's not in here to grab a bunch of business cards. I mean, I'm looking for maybe 2 or 3 people to really connect with. But if you do get a card, and sometimes today in the digital world, we tap our phones and everything appears right there. But if you can take a mental note or write something, if it's a paper card, and write something about them, like you said, and then when you go to have a follow-up call with them and you bring that up, now that person says, this person was listening to me. And you become a point of interest because you were interested in them when they didn't know you were interested in them. And that's huge. The other thing is people's names. How many times do we go somewhere and we get introduced and it's like, oh, what's your name again? I mean, you really need to learn to be able to use people's names. That's the sweetest sound to anybody, is to be able to hear their name. That's a Dale Carnegie thing. And every time you talk, Deborah, and you listen to Bill when he talks, he says, Deborah, Celeste. You're calling that name out first because now that person's attention is going to be drawn right to you because you use their name first. And that's
it also helps Bill remember your name because he's practicing it while he's doing it. So he will be more likely to remember the name of that person because he's intentionally doing that.
Exactly. So, Bill, let me ask you, why does association with professionals even matter?
Well, it's my opinion, actually, it's my belief that we can achieve anything we want out of life based on the books we read and the people we associate with. So, the difference between where we are today and where we'd like to be at the end of 24, at the end of 30, whatever the goal we're setting for ourselves, what we can control is our input. And the ability to consume, whether it's audiobooks, you've mentioned Dale Carnegie, I'm clearly quoting him, we've quoted others, we're all well-read. We've all got our finger on the pulse of the thought leaders that matter today. I would say that's safe. Well, the people we associate with, they're the ones that kind of first get out of our way and then kind of come beside us to help us. So the associations matter both in removing resistance and providing resources and connecting us with the individuals that we need to know before we know we need to know them. But there's also this, regardless of what your faith is, there's this idea that to the degree I can serve great people, providence is bestowed upon me. So whether it's regardless, I mean, this is in every religion. Every religion I've ever heard of, whether it's the golden rule or the rule of reciprocity, which, I'm Catholic. So for me, it's, that which we put out into the world worthwhile comes back not in equal proportion, but 10 times over. Right. So when I want to associate with good people, it's selfish because I know that as I serve others, as I give value, as I leave others feeling better than the way they felt before they were around me or interacted with me or met me, that's going to be good for me. As I associate with good people, a rising tide lifts all ships. So I pick up habits and I pick up relationships, and some of those habits may be financial, they might be fashion, they might be relationships, they might be introductions. They who knows? I mean, some of the greatest opportunities I've ever had in business or professionally have come from relationships, friendships, just really strong bonds that I've had, and people looking out for my development, my growth, and my well-being. The ability to connect and serve others is Deborah, you just touched on this a little bit, where it's not so much who we know as much as who knows us. And if we're going to go into a community or into a networking group or into a business or into wherever we're going into with our best on and our best self, we're going to serve others and they're going to connect us, and it just becomes this reciprocal relationship of value exchange. So do professional associations really matter? I don't know that there's anything that matters more, because I'm going to continue to develop. I'm going to raise my association so that I can never be stagnant. If I plateau, the first thing I want to do is be around people that are at the level I want to be at. And listen, well, last thing I'll say on this, it's not just about being around successful people. I know a bunch of rich, not so great people, but I like to I like to be around people that not only live a lifestyle that I admire, but live a life I admire, that treat their spouse in a way that I admire, that raise their kids in a way that I admire, that honor their God in a way that I admire. So it's not, I mean, yeah, that wealth is nice, and success, I think, is almost a parallel trait to people who live respectfully and honor oneself and their spouse, and they just tend to be a certain way. But I would challenge anyone who's not where they want to be right now to look to associate with the people that are receiving a level of success or appreciation or happiness or providence or wealth or connection or influence that you would like to have in your life.
Absolutely.
And if you do that, and at no point are you outside of your integrity in that they're not incongruent with any one value that you have, that's a prerequisite for me. I'll meet anybody, but I'm not going to hang out with just anybody. But as long as the values are congruent and you're experiencing a level of success and a level of happiness and you're given to others in a way that's congruent with my values, I'm going to do whatever I can to make you feel as though I've bestowed value on you, so that when I ask for a virtual or in-person coffee, lunch, scotch, bourbon, whatever the case might be, the answer that I receive is certainly. And I think that the reason professional associations matter is I don't know how to advance in life or in business without them.
Beautiful.
Very powerful right there, Bill. The other thing that I would add to that, I had 36 years in a career with a franchise, started my consulting business. It's going on its 11th year. Last 4 years, had a nonprofit. Now, my main focus isn't really clients, it's who I can serve through our nonprofit. And I look for people who serve in the community. A lot of my clients that I consult and coach, I said, you want to grow your business? Get involved in the community. Serve a homeless women and children's shelter. Serve some foster children organization. That's the kind of people that I want to be with, because those are the people that are giving of themselves and asking nothing in return. And I can't tell you how exponentially my business has increased by being a servant leader versus just a consultant. So with that, I have a question. We have a few minutes here. We have about 7 minutes, Deborah. This is my last question for you. Do you have a couple of things that we could immediately implement that does not require a huge change or a huge cost to positively influence our first impression?
I do. And really, it's just a brief little recap of what's already been flushed out today. So, if you like the Cliff Notes, here we go. Be early or be on time. Cost you nothing. Enter the room with a smile on your face. Be fully present, especially with your eye contact. Consider who will be in the room when you consider what to wear. Who are you trying to influence, impress, rub elbows with? Who is it? And we've talked about this to death today. Be a better listener than a speaker. Those are minor changes in behavior that can really change how you are perceived.
Absolutely. And I would encourage for people to do their due diligence of who's going to be at networking events. Most of the time you have people that you have events where you click and say you're going. Do your research. Who's going to this event? And do a little research about this individual. I'd like to meet this person, whether it be for camaraderie, it be for collaboration, whether you want to do business with them or you want to reach out to this person for your nonprofit or something like that. You can control those things. do your due diligence and educate yourself on some of the people who are going to be there. You don't know everybody that's going to be there. Bill's doing the event with Spire. And if you happen to know Bill, call Bill. Bill, who do I need to meet that's going to be at this event on Thursday night? Would you be so kind to introduce me to this person? Bill knows me. He knows what I do. I mean, that's just taking it another level up.
I agree. I would actually, I'll plus that if I could.
Yeah, plus it.
If just a slight variation of that brilliant advice. But before I do that, I just wanted to, in case we run out of time, Deborah, those things that anyone, regardless of net worth, can do to show up is brilliant, because none of those things cost anything and they're super important. And with those free things, those timely yet free things we can do, you're going to have all the financial resources you need in fairly short order to do all the things that only you can do when you've got that type of financial backing. So brilliant advice, gratitude your way for that. What I love to hear when someone says to me, hey, and I get this a lot as a host of an event, there are people that come around and be like, hey, who do I need to meet? And I think that's great. I'm glad that you're letting me help you in that way. But when I really light up is when someone comes up to me and says, who needs what I do? Who can I support? Who's challenged with this or that? Who in this room would benefit from my XYZ service? Who right now? Because here's the thing. If you just say to me, who do I need to meet? I'm not sure what you mean. Like, what does that mean? Who do I need to meet? I mean, everybody in here, I love everybody in here, right? I'm like, these are my people. But if you come in with, hey, I think I told you that we just launched this, and the reception we're getting from these people is off the charts fantastic. Anybody in here that's doing this or engaged in that, I definitely want to be able to support them. Who do I need to meet? Oh, I got it. Now I'm putting one-to-one together, because it's a difference between what we talked about this probably 20 times on this call, which is that heart to serve and servant leader, as opposed to that narcissism or self-interest, which is, who do I need to meet? Who can I get business from? And listen, I'm a capitalist. Profit ain't a bad word. I get it. But I promise you one thing. When I take a poll at every single one of our networking events, and I'm kidding, I've never taken this poll, but if I did, and I said, show of hands, who was hoping to do some business as a result of this gathering? Without question, 90 to 100% of the people are going to put their hand up. But when I say, hey, who in here was planning on spending some money tonight or buying anyone's services, nobody's going to raise their hand. So we all have this intention. We want benefits of wealth as a result of our interactions. But I think that benefit of wealth or benefit of business is a byproduct of what we all should be there to do, which is, who can I serve? Who can I support? And it's subtle, but to me, it's a mindset. It's a mind frame. Like, I need to come in here and I want to bless 5, 10, 15 people with an opportunity to experience the benefits of whatever it is that I do. I'm going to give this away. I'm going to take someone to lunch. I'm going to do a workshop. I'm going to tithe my time, whatever the case might be. That is a totally different dynamic. Alex Hormozy is a marketer who I love, and his motto is give until they ask. And when you go into a networking event looking to bless others, I think people will be surrounding you in mass in fairly short order.
Absolutely, Bill, and I didn't get to finish that, but you're exactly right, because when I do go to a networking event and I want to meet other people, it is to meet people who I can help and serve, most definitely.
And I know you.
Yeah, you know me, and that's why I didn't finish it.
But there's a lot of people listening who, hopefully will benefit from that slight reframe. And I know your heart. Are you kidding me? You wrote the book. So I am a worthy admirer of your efforts, and Deborah's as well.
Absolutely.
But for our listeners, hopefully they can experience and benefit as soon as possibly this Thursday.
Absolutely. We are at the top of the hour. I mean, we could just continue on and on and on. And this has just been a phenomenal hour of talking about impressions and networking and dressing to impress and listening. I mean, we could go on and on. But as we close, Deborah, what I'd love for you to do real quickly is to tell the audience again how they can reach out to you. You also have a new book that just came out. So could you please, real quickly, tell our audience how they can get a hold of you, please?
Certainly. Go on my website. It's in the chat. DD Faces by Deborah, DeborahTheLongWay.com. I am not yet in the routine of saying that I am an author, but I am. And so if you go on my, thank you. If you go on my website, reach out and make an appointment with me, I'm going to send you a copy of my book called Inspiring Women. And I just wrote a chapter in there. I did not write the whole book, but I'm very excited about it. And it talks about my journey and why I do what I do.
Absolutely. And you know what, Deborah, I know that 2024 is going to be your best year yet. And my heart loves your heart. And thank you for being on the show here today. And Bill, can you quickly tell us how people can reach out to you and the Spire event, please?
Sure. So it is William Courtright on LinkedIn, reputationsensei.com. My email is going to be in the show notes, but it's b.courtright@digitalmedianation.com. And if you want to go to Spire, I would love to see you. Our website is spire-atl.com. That's SPIRE-ATL.com. You'll have all the resources you need to find us on Thursday. We'll be meeting on the north side of the perimeter at the AC Marriott Hotel at the top level bar called Bar Perry. Myself, our colleagues, there'll be a lot of great people there, and I have absolutely no doubt if you come, you'll be better for it.
Absolutely. And Deborah and I look forward to joining you. And most importantly, in closing, we want to thank WCEG Talk Radio, Penny Rogers and the board for this opportunity for us to spread life into the community. Thank you, Bill and Deborah, for a wonderful show here tonight. I love you, and I wish you a wonderful and blessed 2024. Thank you for being here.